Hello, my name is Terry White, and it's my pleasure to give you a look at not only the iPad Pro, but also the Apple Pencil. But more importantly, this is really a review of an app called Astropad. Astropad has been around for a while, and it allows you to turn your iPad into a tablet or basically another display on your Mac. Now, what's interesting and what made this become a lot more desirable, I'll say, is that it not only works with your previous iPad and even your iPhone, but it more importantly works with the Apple Pencil on the iPad Pro, which means that it can also be pressure sensitive. Now that changes the game for me in a lot of ways, because while I do have a full-blown Wacom Cintiq 24 HD on my desk in my office, when I travel, I'm often traveling with my laptop, an iPad, and a Wacom Intuos Pro small tablet. So I'm looking to lighten that load any way that I can, and if I can get by with just carrying the gear that I'm already going to carry anyway, and not have to carry that extra tablet, that would make my life a whole lot easier. So what I really wanted to do was put this to the test, show you guys how it works, and see if I could actually get away with taking that one item out of my bag and just going with the iPad Pro and, of course, my MacBook Pro. So here's how it works. Let's go ahead and take a look. Now, what I've got here running on the MacBook Pro is the full version of Photoshop. I've got an image open. It's Photoshop CC 2015 with this image open. And, of course, I can do anything on my Mac that I would normally do to that image. However, I've also got my iPad plugged in via the USB lightning cable. So it's coming around to the iPad, which you can't see yet, going all the way around to the USB port. Now, this app does work over Wi-Fi or a USB connection. So if you've got a good Wi-Fi signal, that means your computer can be in one room and you can walk around with your tablet in any room where you have Wi-Fi access, and as long as they're on the same network, you could work as well. Now, of course, you're always going to be faster with less lag plugged in, but you have the option of going full wireless in either case. So let's go ahead and just tilt this camera down a little bit so you guys can see what's going on here. There we go. And now you can see the iPad. And I'm going to go into my Utilities folder. And in my Utilities folder, there's the Astropad app. So we'll just go ahead and tap and launch the app. And it'll take a second or two to connect. And there it is. So right now, it's a mirror display. And unfortunately, that would be one of the, if I had a small criticism about the app, at this point, it's only mirrored display. Whereas I've tested other apps that don't do as much, but they can serve as a second display or a third display or whatever it is. So in this case, the primary goal here is to mirror that display so that you're using your tablet as a touch interface for your Mac. And more importantly, with Stylus support, which the other ones don't have. So that's where Astropad comes in. Okay, so now what can I do? And what's this big ring here that's sitting here on the display? Well, this ring is their control ring. So you can move it around if it's in your way. You can move it anywhere you want. And if you tap it, that will pop out this little sidebar. And this sidebar is kind of cool because it contains many of the options that you will use, especially if you're wireless and away from your Mac's keyboard or away from your Mac in a way where you can't really access the keyboard shortcuts. So, for example, if you wanted to make your brush bigger or smaller, if you wanted to switch to the eraser, if you wanted to switch to the brush tool, if you wanted to do an undo or redo, or zoom in and zoom out, those are right there as button controls. Now, at the very top of the menu, there is a control for finger or toggle between finger versus stylus. And what that's important for is it tells the app what interface to expect. So if you have it on finger, then it knows to look for finger gestures. And if you have it on stylus, then it knows to be a little bit more fine-tuned for working with a stylus. So I'm going to put it back on stylus for now because that's what we're going to work on. And one of the other things I thought was pretty cool, I didn't notice it right away, but you notice this little command key down here at the bottom. That command key pops out a set of movable Option, Shift, Command, Control keys, so modifier keys that you can put anywhere you want on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and put the menu away. I'll keep the modifier keys out. Now, one of the other things I can do is I can go in and, for example, pinch and zoom. So I don't have to use the sidebar controls to do this. I can, as a matter of fact, pinch and zoom, and as you can see, it's also happening on the Mac because you are controlling the Mac. Where it looks like I have full Photoshop running on my iPad Pro, I have full Photoshop being displayed on my iPad Pro, and I'm remote controlling it with the iPad Pro. And what this is giving me the ability to do, for example, if I switch to my spot healing tool, which I'm on, I now have, and I'll show you up here on a forehead, even though it doesn't need it. If I do a light stroke, I get a light stroke on that tool. If I press down a little bit heavier, then I get a heavier stroke with that tool. And that's the beauty of Astropad. That's why Astropad intrigues me. Because, and again, instead of having to carry around that separate graphics tablet and work on the tablet and look at the screen, I'm now working on the screen very much in the same way I would work on my professional Wacom Cintiq. So for example, if we want to make a couple corrections here, we can. If we want to remove some pimples or blemishes, we could. And I have actually done a full retouch on a different photo, which I'll display on the video here. I've done a full retouch using just the Astropad on my MacBook Pro. I even did it wireless so I could move around. And again, it was fantastic. Now, people might ask questions like, well, what's the lag like? Is there a lag when you're working on this? And as you can see, it's pretty darn responsive. I'm not seeing any lag whatsoever here. However, if you go wireless, if your Wi-Fi network is crowded, meaning a lot of people on it, or not a fast 5 gigahertz network, then you may run into issues where there is a lag because, again, it's having to send all this information over your Wi-Fi network. So with that said, I am very pleased, not only with the iPad Pro and the speed and all the things that the iPad Pro does, but I'm even more happy now that my iPad Pro becomes my new travel graphics tablet. So for example, we can just remove a little bit of this over here. And now what if you need to make some selections or you needed to work in a little bit more finer detail? So for example, one of my tips and techniques that I do, if I wanted to like even out that eyebrow line, so for example, I might use the Lasso Tool, which of course, if you've ever tried to use the lasso with a mouse, you know how frustrating that can be. However, with a stylus, especially one as precise as the Apple Pencil, I get the ability to do a nice, even, clean stroke with that tool. I have my actions set up as buttons. I was doing that anyway. What that does is it makes them a single tap so that I can, I don't have to tap and hold. And that even makes it even better with Astropad. So if, for example, I have an action called Fixed Eyebrows, and what that will do is just take that selection, feather it, put it on its own layer, and now when I switch to the Move tool, I can just go ahead and pick up that layer and pull it down and use that layer to smooth out, based on that selection, that eyebrow. So as you can see, it's pretty cool to be able to work this way. And again, whether I'm connected via Wi-Fi or connected via a cable, I get the ability to work on full-blown applications, not just Photoshop. Someone asked me on my live stream, could you do it with Illustrator? Could you do it with Lightroom? Yes, because all this is just a mirror to what's going on your Mac. So if you open up Illustrator on the Mac, you're using Illustrator. If you open up Lightroom or open up any other application, if you want to open up Microsoft Word, you could. I don't know why you would, but you could. So any of those applications would work just fine. Just a couple other side notes and a couple other little tips and tricks. Like I said, the modifier keys are great. So for example, as we know, the clone stamp tool requires an Option or Alt click in order to use it. So if I bring that tool here and I try and click, it's going to tell me, hey, you didn't select the source for it yet. So now I can hold down the Option key, click to pick a spot, let go of the Option key, and now I can use that tool. So it's very cool to be able to, again, use this in a way that I would very much not have to touch the keyboard, not have to go back to the Mac to do a lot of things, especially if I'm wireless in another room. So Astropad is only going to get better. Right now, they're in a beta implementation for Apple Pencil support. Again, the app's been out for a while, but they're making this experience even better. Now, the app is available on the App Store for your iPad, your iPhone, whatever it is you want to run it on. And once you buy the app, you also need to download the component that goes on your Mac, which of course is no additional charge. The app right now goes for $19.99 on the App Store for your iPad. And then you would just go to astropad.com/Mac to begin the download for the Mac component that looks for Astropad running on your iOS devices. I am very happy with the way this app works. And again, just knowing that I can now just take my iPad, which I was going to take anyway, and my MacBook Pro. I don't have to bring a separate graphics tablet, a separate pen, a separate this, a separate that, separate cables. I can just bring my iPad. And if I am in a situation where Wi-Fi is really not that great, I connect the cable. If not, I just go on Wi-Fi. So guys, check out Astropad. It's an amazing app for what it does, and it's only going to get better. I talked to the team that's working on this, and they're committed to this 100% of making this a really full-blown solution for graphic designers, photo retouchers, people that need to do this kind of precision work in desktop applications on the go. So guys, take care. Thanks for watching this review, and we'll catch you on the next one.